Last time you saw us, we were exploring some of the great free things in Ormond and Daytona. This video showcases the best of the Ormond area. We've been dying for a scenic drive in Florida. So what makes a scenic drive? I think it's diversity. Florida's best features are their trees and water. This drive has the best of both. And the things that make this drive extra special are all the stops you take on the drive. You could take this drive in a day or spread out some of the stops in several days like we did. Since we're staying in Tomoka State Park, we'll start there. This park will set you back $5 per vehicle. Originally the site of the Timucua Indian village of Nokoroko, Tomoka has trails for hiking, biking, and paddling. There's even an outpost there. If you want to see more, check out our last video. Getting on the loop, we drove the old Dixie Highway and Pine Tree Drive. This cozy portion of the loop is spectacular. The trees hang low and makes this a no-go for larger RVs. I was also glad we missed Daytona Bike Week driving this loop. I imagine it would be a very different experience driving those 10 days with 400,000 bikes in town. You know, I love live oak trees. Bulow State Park is home to one of the largest live oaks in the South. It's thought to be between 400 to 600 years old. Unlike most other deciduous oaks that drop all of their leaves in the winter and regrow them in warmer months, the live oak replaces their leaves gradually, causing it to always look alive. There's no entrance fee to get into the park. We did a little hiking while we were here too. Our next stop will take us off the scenic loop, but it's not too far and it's totally worth it. You'll pass what seems like endless housing developments with the name Plantation in them. We took the short hike to the Sugar Mill Ruins, but there's also a road there, so I suppose if you couldn't do the hike, you could ask a ranger and this might be a good option. The ruins are a great place to learn about the rise and fall of the sugar mill plantations that were prominent in East Florida. It takes you through a self-guided tour that explains what each area was and explains the role of the hard-working slaves that made this process possible. It also discusses changes in available technology that transformed how things were done. After enduring the encroachment of the white settlers for years, the Seminoles launched an offensive, and in 1836 a Second Seminole War swept away the prosperous Bulow Plantation. 1,500 servicemen lost their lives in the war. The ruins showcase how volatile the Florida frontier was in the early 19th century. If you like history like I do, this is a great stop. After getting back on the Scenic Loop, we were in for a new change of scenery. This portion took us through some intercoastal waterway views along the road. Our next stop was the North Peninsula State Park. There's no fee to get into this park. A hiking trail takes you to 3 miles of beach. We left Sadie in the truck to give her a rest. She would be welcome on the trail, but not on the beach. After walking a ways on the trail, we decided we needed the rest too, and we didn't make it to the beach. Let us know if you've been there. Was it worth the hike? May through September, turtles call the beach home to lay their eggs. And if you're riding a bike on the Ormond Loop, there's a maintenance station here to perform repairs. It was time to move to our next stop. So much of Florida has these kind of views blocked by houses, but not here. A1A gives you fantastic ocean views. We were looking for a dog-friendly portion of the beach, and we went too far. We reached the boardwalk. Sadie could be here, but not on the beach. We drove further down where the beach was far less crowded and open to dogs. We parked along the road and went for a peaceful walk. Well, it's starting to rain and we're getting tired, but we couldn't pass up taking a quick look at a new state park. Gamble Rogers Memorial State Recreation Area is named for the beloved folk singer who drowned trying to save a swimmer in distress in 1991. The day we visited, they were having a jam session to remember him.
The days grow long.
Of course, we needed to look at the kayak launch and then moved across the road to the second campground on the ocean side. Sadie will need to stay in the truck for this next stop. This structure is a World War II submarine watchtower built in 1942. It's one of the last remaining towers. The towers were manned by civilians and binoculars with a telephone to alert the Coast Guard to threats. It was refurbished in 2003 and remains as a monument honoring civilians who helped in U.S. times of war. We were beat, so we enjoyed the ocean views on the way to our RV and visited the remaining stops on different days since they were close to where we were staying. Because of Ormond's hard-packed sand, speed racing began on the beach in 1903, earning Ormond the name Birthplace of Speed. The Ormond Garage was built by Henry Flagler to accommodate race cars during the beach races. Unfortunately, the garage burnt to the ground in 1976, so a replica was erected. Right down the street from the Birthplace of Speed Park is the Casements, named for the mansion's hand-cut casement windows. Today it's used as a cultural center. When we were there, they were getting ready to host a flower show, but they give free tours of the house and explain its history. This home became the winter home of John D. Rockefeller and the last home he lived in before dying at the ripe old age of 97.
The story of the house really starts with the story of the Ormond Hotel, which was located just across the street. And anyone who was anyone started coming down during the Gilded Age, so around the early 1900s. Starting in 1915, John D. Rockefeller started coming down to the hotel. Well, Mr. Rockefeller took up the whole second floor of the Ormond Hotel. So about 25 rooms at $4 a night. That was a big deal. Yeah. But he found out he was actually paying more than $4 a night. They were kind of upcharging him, and he felt like the price should be the price, and he never liked to be taken advantage of, so he started looking for a private residence. Anderson and Price were trying to figure out a way to increase patronage to the hotel. So they had thought about having some races on our beaches. Our beaches here in Ormond and down towards Daytona are just part of that grant. So at the time that cars were coming off assembly lines, there were more of them, and they wanted a place to race. There was only about 150 150 miles of paved road in the United States, and not all of it was straight flat. So the beach was the obvious choice.
The Bailey Riverbridge Gardens is a 2.5-acre riverfront park at the foot of Granada Bridge and sits on the Intercoastal Waterway. People run, walk, and fish here. The boardwalk gives a great view of the Ormond Yacht Club. The structure was built in 1910 to increase sociability and promote boating. In addition to the boardwalk, there's a beautiful garden at the historic site of the Pilgrim's Rest Church. Join us next time as we continue up the coast and explore areas around St. Augustine.
The next dog I get's gonna be either named Timex or Rolex. I need a good watchdog.